juice, baby. Yeah. Miracle, miracle, serves. Miracle, miracle, serves. Miracle, miracle, serves. Miracle, miracle, serves. We keep having all these problems. How we gonna solve them? Every day it's the same thing. Yeah. All these unsolved issues, I guess it's official. Here we go again, the same old thing. And I'm tired of the arguing and lying. So goodbye, all the hurt and crying. Things will change in you, so how can I expect something new if it's the same old thing?
I'm back. Good morning, everybody. It's your girl, Miracle Sims, and you are watching The Juice. Look, I always come back and don't know how to start the show. Wait a minute, how do I do it? Wait, it's your daily dose of inspiration. Oh my, it's off. Oh, everything's off. But man, I'm so happy to be back, man. Hey, hey, good people, man. It's so good to be back for a juice, man. Listen, so you guys may know that I've been fasting the past 21 days. So throughout that particular season, I would have came and did a juice if the Lord led me to do it. But the only thing I felt led to do was write some juices. So there was some written juices throughout my fasting and prayer time of 21 days of prayer. But the Lord done brought your girl back, man. Look, for those that watch the video and stuff like that, he done brought me back in the OG robe and everything. Like, I guess we get back to our roots around here, y'all. Because today's topic is called Sex is Not a Sin. I'm like, Lord, you gonna bring me back and say that? But hey, this is God, sex, and love at the end of the day. Don't start clutching your pearls too much. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna get too deep, but don't think. I feel like it's coming one of these old days, but not today. Not today. We just gonna just introduce this conversation, and just put this on the table so people can understand, right? I don't know why I gotta be the one to do it. But hey, I guess it's something I feel strongly about, and I would even say during my 21 days of prayer, I was using that as a moment to kind of, I guess, revamp my thinking about intimacy and whatnot as well. Just because, I gave myself a bit of an intimacy challenge during my 21 days of prayer as well. And I know that might sound weird to people, maybe I won't get into too many details about like what that means specifically or whatever. But I will say like some of what it meant is, again, renewing my heart and mind about intimacy in general. And I was challenging myself. I didn't do it every day. And so I did notice that I planned to do it every day. But I noticed that eventually I wasn't doing my challenges that I set up for myself to do. But the days that I did do it, it was things like, taking out time to just dance and worship. You know what I mean? Just, there were time, one day I remember, I had to look in the mirror and like affirm myself. I guess my physical self, things of that nature. Like, so it wasn't all sexual is what I'm saying, but it definitely was a good challenge for me, I think. And so the Lord done brought me back. And this first conversation is sex is not a sin. And I would say I'm gonna tell y'all exactly what led to me realizing that this was gonna be the juice today in a moment. But I want to go ahead and shout out Angela Knapp, because Angela Knapp is in the building. So good morning. Oh, she says you're my first day back and you have an appointment. Oh no. Oh well, you can always catch the replay, sister. You know what I'm saying? No pressure to stay, but I'm glad to see you here. Thank you so much for tuning in. But yeah, man, look, if you missed the beginning, I messed up the whole little beginning. I didn't do none of my little jingle or nothing, but oh well. Y'all know this is juice. Y'all know that I'm Miracle Sims, right? Okay. But anyway, so yeah. So what led me to this topic today? I'm gonna tell y'all exactly. Okay, y'all know I don't like to misquote if you know anything about me, right? And so basically, long story short, I woke up this morning around 4 to my alarm and stuff. I think by the time I paid attention to the time, it was like 4:01, but I didn't pay, I didn't take no notes on none of that. I didn't feel led to, go deeper about 4:01 or nothing like that. But I just was up and I was like, well, Lord, I'm just doing regular stuff, looking on social media, watching random YouTube videos, just doing stuff, in this nice quiet time, because you may notice my son ain't in here, right? So it's nice and quiet in the mornings, when he still sleeps. So I just let him sleep and bask in the quietness, right? And so I'm just doing my thing. And so basically, one of the things that I do, if you follow any other platform that I'm on, like Facebook or something like that, then you'll notice like the Facebook is a lot of motivational quotes, and even my Instagram is a lot of like quotes and stuff specifically from me. But then the Facebook, I'll pull from other platforms and share things that I feel like are motivating to me, as well as that I think that might encourage and inspire other people on their walk, right? And I noticed as I was doing that today, I found some different quotes or some different videos, whatever they were, and I was sharing them on Facebook. But I noticed, like, as I was doing it, it kept showing me, like, it showed me GSL. I don't, man, I wish I could just show y'all. Basically, it showed me, like, GSL posts from the past, as I was going on my way to, so it was like I looked up GSL, or God, Sex, and Love, which is on Facebook. I looked up that name because I was getting ready to post, and then it would show me like past posts. Well, anyway, it did it like twice. So I thought it was cool looking back on like memories and stuff like, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember this. But I want to say maybe the second time it happened because I was getting ready to post something else, something encouraging, and I know I scrolled a little bit, was looking at some of the memories, and I came across a quote, or I came across a comment. I don't know where it was posted or anything like that. I just saw the comment. So I don't know if the person came and posted it on GSL, if they posted it on their own Facebook. Again, I don't know all of that because I didn't do no deep dive to figure out where it was posted. But it was a post about GSL. And I'll read it because, one, I don't like to misquote people. And two, it led to today's topic. All right. So if I can try to arrange my device. No, don't stop recording. Don't stop recording. Never mind. Don't stop recording. Let me just see. Can I access it? If not, I might have to just wait till the after show. That means I have to paraphrase what it said. Hold on. Let me try one more again. Okay, cool. I was able to do it. Okay. So I should still be recording. I am. Okay, boom. This is what the quote said, or what the comment said, y'all. Okay, y'all ready? This person, I'm not gonna say who it is, even though if you write on social media, I guess you know what I'm saying. It looked like maybe they posted this on their page. I don't know, but this was posted back in 2024, so I'm just now seeing it. But anywho, December 12th, 2024 for exact mint. Who knows? Maybe we should look up the numbers. I don't know. But anyway, 12/12/2024. This person says there is a title, and that's in caps, out there that is called GSL, which stands for God, Sex, and Love. That title does not go together. You can't put sin in there with God and love. Sex is a sin out. This stuff that I'm that's caps, okay? Anyway, sex is a sin outside of marriage and or before marriage. Okay. You're putting both together. That can't be. That is a sign of lukewarm. You're either hot, I guess they had emojis with the desert and fire. I guess hot with God, or you're cold with the emojis for a snowman and a freezing man face with the other side. And then next thing I know, the Lord put in my mind the title, God, Sex is Not a Sin. And I'm like, all right, so here I am. I guess to respond, but then I did respond to the comment directly to the person, but I felt led to come here and have this conversation today. So friends, I'm gonna let the person know, and I'm letting y'all know sex is not a sin. Now, I'm gonna try to stick to Bible and not get too deep into my own little personal, thoughts and things of that nature. Because if I just tell my testimony briefly about, I'm not gonna tell my testimony again about the name because I done did that so many times. So if you hear on this platform, you should have heard that at some point. If not, I get it, but there's thousands of videos at this point. And, I won't say I do it in every episode, but y'all should know me and my testimony at this point, right? But I would just say that, I mean, obviously, again, I'm still on a journey, right? I'm still on a journey with receiving, right, that sex is not a sin. Not that I don't know that, right? But I feel like as believers, there's a disconnect, right? And that, I think that's why the Lord led me to create the platform, right? And I know I'm not the only platform that addresses this, but I just feel like, again, us as believers, like, people aren't having the conversations, right? And so because the conversations aren't being had, things like this can get said and people think they're right. And again, she's right, or whoever this is, they're right about that outside of marriage, right? They're right about, before marriage, things of that nature, right? But I think the issue is, and I know other people really take issue, again, with the purity culture and stuff like that. I don't struggle with that, but I guess I am struggling with accepting that my desires, or let's just keep it there, my desires as a woman in general is not bad, right? Because I guess we're raised to think like, that it is, and yes, I am being very specific about like what the Bible is talking about, right? I'm talking about biblical sex is not a sin, right? So what are we talking about here? All right, let me just get the Bible, because if I keep talking, right, then I'll just keep talking my own thoughts. So I asked the Lord to say whatever he wants to say through me. So let's just talk about the word sex first, all right? The word sex, okay? I guess that's what people are taking an issue with, right? They take an issue with it in the title. You take an issue with it, I guess, in general. You hear the word sex, you feel away, right? It makes you clutch your pearls. If someone says it in church, oh my! Like, have any of us actually heard the word sex in church? Very seldomly. I don't even know if I've heard it at church I go to. But then again, I spend more time in the kids ministry now, so I don't know if the pastor's taught on it recently or something. But yeah, so we hear this word and we get up in arms, right? We feel the way. So let's just look at the definition, okay? So the definition of sex says sexual activity, including specifically sexual intercourse. Now, y'all know how I feel about definitions that tell me a word means the word. I don't like those type of definitions. You say it's sexual for sex, and I'm like, okay, well, let's look up the word sexual then, right? So the word sexual means relating to the instincts, physiological process, and activities connected with physical attraction or intimate physical contact between individuals. I know that sounds real technical, right? So then I went up and looked up sexual intimacy. Now, I ain't got no problem reading the sexual intimacy definition, but I didn't write it down for y'all because I feel like I already got y'all clutching y'all's pearls with me saying that sex is not a sin. So, but don't get me wrong. At some point, we're gonna have to be addressing this probably on another level. So be on the lookout, right, for more content centered around, yes, sex, right, and helping the people understand that at the end of the day, if y'all don't hear nothing else I say today, nothing else I say this morning with this juice, sex is a God-given creation, right? It's a God-given thing, right? God created it. And so that's why I incorporate God and sex and love it's all, in the title, right? Because I understand that it's something that God created. It's not a man-made thing. Like, we didn't come up with it, right? The Lord created sex. And if y'all don't believe me, y'all read the Bible, right? A little study of the Bible will show you that. But hey, so if we just talk about sex biblically for a moment, let's just talk about a definition real quick. All right, so biblical sex definition pretty much let us know that it's primarily presented as a gift from God, intended for the unit. Man, I wish I wrote the word correctly. It's pretty much unity, but it was said in a different way. And I wish I wrote it right, because now I can't read it. But anyway, basically for the unity and procreative purposes within the covenant of marriage between one man and one woman. Okay? So again, sex is a beautiful gift from the Lord, right? Okay. Now so we're gonna go deeper. We're gonna go a little bit deeper because if people come and they be like, oh, well, wait a minute, because sex isn't in the Bible, right? Okay, so you're right. The word sex, the word sex, right, is not in our Bibles, right? And so maybe that's what you're talking about. Maybe that's why we feel like it's wrong. Maybe that's why we feel like it's a sin because oh, that word sex isn't there. So maybe for some reason, people are feeling like sex, what we know to be sex, isn't addressed, and I don't know where they get that from. Because again, a little bit of study from the Bible, you gonna see a lot of references to the concept of what we call now sex. So in the Bible, it's referred to. The Hebrew word is apparently yada. I don't know if I'm saying it right. It could be yada. I don't know, right? But all I know is when I'm looking it up, it's yada. They said that is what was used as to mean pretty much to know. So yada, the Hebrew word yada means to know. A lot of us, again, when we refer to sex biblically, people would say to know, right? There's a lot of other ways that sex is referred to biblically as well. We're gonna talk about that, right? I'm gonna list it out, right? I'm gonna read it for you, right? So we can understand, like, when the Bible is talking about to know and all these other references, they're talking about sex. Now, sex, I guess the word itself is a newer English. Let me just tell y'all the exact name because I don't want y'all to be. All right. So basically, yeah, it's basically an English label that we use today for yada, right? Or for the biblical references of sex. So yeah, don't think, right, just because the word sex isn't there that it's not being addressed. Because the Bible addresses sex or yada or whatever you want to call it, right? It addresses it a lot. Like, at some point I was starting to put in the go deeper section verses, like how many, some different verses. And I just stopped putting the verses because there was so many verses that this was referenced, okay? So sex is referenced in the Bible, right? And it's a good thing that the Lord created for marriage with specific boundaries, but let's stop acting as if the concept itself is the problem. That's not the problem. It's when we try to keep God out of the conversation in the concept. That's what the problem is. And again, I know I often use Allie as a reference because, again, I know a lot of y'all are here because of Allie, right? New people, right? And so my thing is, I say this all the time. Her situation, right? Her testimonies, the things she's been through probably would not have happened if things was done decent and in order the way that God created it to be. But unfortunately, people take God out of the sex conversation. They don't think about yada. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not thinking about it from God's perspective in the lines that he put it in. And therefore, people end up in situations like Allie's, right? People end up in situations like even me with early exposure. You know what I'm saying? And different things of that nature. So, let's just keep talking about Bible. Well, I'll take a pause. And see what y'all have to say. I got a couple of people saying some things. All right. So, hello, Miss Susan. Miss Susan is saying, love your truth. Keep speaking. It is going to help a lot of people. Thank you. Good. Well, to God be the glory. I'm glad that you guys are seeing the need. Lake Mantra says, your content on this stuff helps me heal from a lot of toxic messaging from my upbringing, but without requiring me to turn on my faith. Truly appreciate. To God be the glory. Y'all are confirmation for me right now. Thank you so much for that. Because, y'all, I get it too. You know what I'm saying? Even like I said, I took this intimacy challenge and I'm struggling as a married woman, right? With the legal right? The spiritual legal right to be having all the sex, okay? And I could go and talk about that testimony, but we ain't talking about that right now. What we talking about is just the fact that sex is not a sin. So if this is helping y'all be free in any capacity, to God be glory. I'm so thankful already. People are set free. To God be the glory. All right, good. Okay, so let's go deeper. All right, we talked about yada, right? To know, right? So let me see. Where did I leave off here? So according to my just a little research, not too much, right? But just according to my little bit of research, it's telling me that yada, or the concept of yada, appears in the Bible over 900 times. It's probably closer to 1,000. And even Jesus the Christ, reference this one of the verses that he spoke on it is also there, which that's one of the things I really struggle with. I be praying about that all the time. I'm like, Lord, I wish that there was some type of something that showed your sexual temptation so I can have something to hold on to. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like it showed the other ways that he was tempted, but I'm like, I feel like it didn't really address the sexual temptation. And I'm like, that's what I be struggling with, Lord. I wish, because it seemed like with Jesus, the only things that was even sexual vibes was, I guess, like when the woman washed his feet with the perfume and dried it with her hair. Like that was the only like intimate type of thing that when it's like Jesus and intimacy, you know what I'm saying? Or what the kiss of Judas, but still, you know what I mean? Like outside of that, like what other things do we have directly from Jesus referencing like sex, other than I guess obviously what he said about the man and the woman cleaving together, things of that nature. The leaving and the cleaving of the husband and wife. But anyway, so yeah, it's referenced. The Bible has a lot to say about it, right? So that's why we need to be studying, right, to show ourselves approved. So let's just talk about this word again, yada. So basically the Bible references yada in marriage, and then it also references yada with God. Now I know that can be weird too, and that's the thing I was kind of struggling with when I was on my intimacy challenge and journey, because I'm like, Lord, okay, every time I think about intimacy or whatever, I'm thinking about sex, but at the same time I can't, and I feel like you want me to have more intimate moments with you, and I'm like, what does that even mean, Lord? Because I know I can't have no sex with the Lord, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, how can I be more intimate with the Lord, right? Oh. So we're gonna learn today, I guess. And I guess I was learning more over my challenge as well. Like I said, like taking more time to like reflect on like why I'm thinking the way I am about sex, or again, when I look at myself as a human being and things of that nature, affirming myself that okay, the Lord has made me, I'm beautifully and wonderfully made, things of that nature. And it's not necessarily about, again, the way we look at yada, right, or sex, right, is or the intimacy between a husband and wife. It's more like we'll talk about it. So here we go. So when we talk about yada in marriage, and which equals sexual intimacy, we can look at, for example, Genesis 4:1. Okay, basically in that verse it says this. It says, and Adam knew Eve, his wife. So the new is the yada in that. And Adam yada, right, Eve, his wife, and she conceived. So we know what causes conception, right? So are we confused that they had sex? Because she conceived. And Mary was the only one that conceived without sex that I know of. You know what I'm saying? So, like, are we confused about that, believers? I'm not, Again, I feel like there's plenty of biblical references about this. But hey, people think sex is a sin. So I got to try to help. You know what I'm saying? So, okay. So he knew his wife, right? And she conceived and bare Cain and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. So that is reiterating the fact that she gave birth. So she's saying that, hey, another life is here. I have gotten a man from the Lord. I don't have any confusion there. They had sex. Was it evil? Was it a sin? No, it was the husband and the wife. So, okay. So then now let's talk about yada to God, right? So, again, so yada with God is, again, spiritual intimacy. Some verses referencing that. Psalm 46:10. It says, be still and know, so yada, that I am God. I will be exalted among the heathen. I will be exalted in the earth. One of my prayers throughout my 21 days of prayer, and while I was doing the intimacy challenge, I was like, Lord, I want to know you, right? You know me, right? You know the hairs on my head, right? Apparently you collect tears, you know what I mean? Like, you know me, right, so well from my mother's womb, right? He knows me. So Lord, I'm like, how can I know you more, right? How can I be more intimate with you? Like, whether it's taking out that time and just studying more, or, taking out time to just worship. Like, how can I know the Lord, right? How can I yada the Lord? So I challenged myself to do that for the last 21 days. And like I said, I didn't do my quote unquote challenges every day, but I did, obviously, again, that whole thing was a challenge, right? Fasting, prayer, and part of my fast was taking in only godly content, things of that nature. So all of that was me, right, exercising my desire, right, to yada, right, to know the Lord spiritually, right? So, yeah. Another verse. I'm not going to read all of this one. I'm just going to read part of it, and it's Jeremiah 1:5. It says, "Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee." So that was another example of yada. Again, he knew us, right, intimately, right? He's creating us in the womb, things of that nature. So I know we know these. I asked this question, but I know we already know. But just in case, I'm going to go through the little list. Anyway, I was asking the question, why are we so confused as believers about this? Why, Lord? Why are we so confused? These are the reasons why, friends, okay? One, silence in the church. Okay? I just went through my own little challenge just now. I was like, have the pastor talked about sex in particular? I don't, perhaps he probably has. But again, with me, especially this year, I've been more so in the kids ministry, teaching them and stuff myself. So, and we're not obviously talking about it there, but there might be some kids content about it here on the GSL platform for future reference. Cause look, we got to teach, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying, exposing the kids, but guess what? They're already being exposed. Okay. So we sure God, right, can teach the children from the biblical perspective about sex. Like we should, right? Teaching them, hey, wait, right? Teaching them, just whatever the Lord wants us to teach. We're going to work on that as GSL. I'm praying and we're going to seek the Lord about how that's going to work. Even if it's just equipping the parents on how to approach it with their children. Like maybe coming from that perspective. We're going to see what the Lord do. But we got to teach the children. But that's another conversation. And teaching them in a way that don't make them feel like it's some dirty, tawdry thing. You know what I'm saying? Like that should not be talked about. Because this is the problem that we're living with today, right? We're not addressing it in the church. And so I'm sorry that y'all are upset that we're addressing it here on the internets. But that's what the Lord done led me to do. And obviously he done breathed on the channel and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, I'm not changing God's Sex and Love name. This is going to be the name. So I'm sorry. I might have to make another channel, whatever, when it comes to other stuff. I don't know. We're going to see what the Lord do with all of that. But as from this point on, like, unless the Lord see fit for me to defend it more. But in Jesus' name, I hope I don't never have to address this no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't come here telling me change GSL. Don't come here telling me don't call it God, Sex, and Love. I'm just going to tell you my testimony and continue to do whatever the Lord wants me to do. Like, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm sorry that people don't understand that. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, GSL is my testimony. I done told it multiple times. And it is going to stay that. Because the Lord done, it's been 5 years now. And the Lord done did too much with this. So silence in the church. We're not going to have silence here on GSL. In Jesus' name. All right. So another problem, another reason why we're confused is the enemy distortion. So, and this is another thing I'm feeling strongly about that we about to come do something about. So the enemy has taken up too much territory when it comes to this conversation about sex, right? He done took it, right? He done thwarted it. He done distorted it. He done made it this what it is today. And so that's why when people hear it, right, they probably just automatically think about porn. You know what I'm saying? They probably automatically thinking about, all kinds of foolishness, right? But intimacy between a husband and wife is not some bad thing, right? And so we're not going to act like it is, right? And I'm not going to sit here and because that's some of the issues that people is having in marriage and stuff today. Like people can't, be free in their marriages like the Lord done blessed us to be, because you're trying to be free before marriage and do all the things. And it don't end well. Like it never ends well. Right? I mean, at least from what I've observed, like it just don't end well when you out of order. Right? So do it the Lord's way. Do it the way he created it to be done. Right? I don't know. But this is the reasons why we struggle, okay, as believers about this. But here's another reason. Reason number 3. Where is it? Cultural confusion. I don't have to explain the cultural confusion, right? It's all around us, right? We see it everywhere, and they trying to confuse the children today, right? So let's do something, Bible believing people, right? Let's study to show ourselves approved. Find out what the word has to say about it, and then let's go teach. Right? It'll be a totally different thing. I just came over here and be like, my opinion about X, Y, and Z is X, Y, and Z. But no, I'm like, no, this is what the Bible says about it. So if I'm going to be a Bible believer, right, I'm going to have to go with that. Right? Not just be like, oh, well, I feel like it's bad. So that ain't what the Bible say. Okay. All right. So what's this? It says a barrier, but I can't remember. See, I be writing so crazy sometimes. What did I say here? Some type of barrier. I can't remember right now. But basically, yeah, like obviously we know that there's barriers when it comes to this conversation. I mean, you know, again, people don't want to talk about it. People want to keep it hush hush or whatever, and then but the fruits and the results is all around us. Bad fruit, right? And so, yeah, I don't know if that's exactly what it was talking about, but let me keep going. Mixing God with sin. So I guess that's what people feel like we're doing here, because you feel like sex is a sin. But if you paid attention to any of the content, then you know that that's not necessarily what we're doing here. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mixing, you know, I'm not telling people, yeah, go out here and fornicate. You know what I'm saying? I'm not telling people, yeah, go and cheat on your spouse or something like that. Like, that is not what's being, you know, shared here. So if you actually just came to the channel, and a lot of times, we're not always talking about sex here either. That's the other thing that makes it kind of like, and that's why I changed the talk show to be the GSL talk show, so people don't get, you know, thinking that we're only talking about God, sex, and love all the time. Like, yeah, we're probably always talking about God in some capacity. Maybe at some point in some capacity we're always talking about love, but we're not always talking about sex. But the thing is, like, I just wanted it to be a space where people could come talk about sex. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we need to talk about it as believers. Because guess what? Secular people, the world, like other people are talking about it. They're not only talking about it, they're taking all this territory and thwarting it and making it some tawdry thing. And so I feel led, right, as a believer to help take back some of that territory for the Lord. And so I'm doing it here on GSL, and we're gonna keep doing it. But look, see more, be on the lookout for more content, taking more territory from the enemy regarding sex for the Lord. Yes. Y'all gonna see in Jesus' name. If the Lord's will, you know what I'm saying? If the Lord's will. So yeah, when it came to those verses, I told you guys before, I had so many verses that I was writing down that reference all of this, and there were so many in the Go Deeper section that I just stopped writing the verses. Y'all can go to my usual places that I tell y'all about and just look up the word yourself, right? Start with those verses that I already shared, do that, you know. But yeah, that's it. So just in case people are confused about sex being mentioned in the Bible, because again, we've acknowledged, right, I've already said, put on the table, the word sex, no, is not in our Bibles, right? But the concept is, and it just was called other things. So the thing is, we can't think that it's not being addressed just because the Lord used a different language. Okay. Now most of us probably don't know no Hebrew or Greek, right? So obviously sex is an English way that we describe yada, right? However, if you're wondering where all these sexual biblical references are or what they were called, it's probably phrases like no or new. That's probably representing sex, okay? The phrase lie with or lay with is most likely representing sex, okay? Going into or went into, probably sex, okay? Uncover nakedness is most likely a reference of sex. Let's see, lay hold of her is something else that the Bible used to reference sex. Being one flesh is another way as well. Kisses, you know, and then also the marriage bed, right, and conjugal rights. All of those things are the ways that the Bible references sex. So I hope this helps you all today. I hope this sets some people free today. I hope this helps you be encouraged and inspired to go deeper about this yourself, right? And hey, because again, I could be lying, right? So go and study, right, for yourself, right? And let the Lord lead you and guide you on that. But yeah, ultimately the juice today is, friends, it's not dirty, right? It's a divine covenant. And yeah, that's the juice. That's the juice, y'all. Okay, the Bible verse of today is Isaiah 26:4. It says, trust ye in the Lord forever, for in the Lord Jehovah is everlasting strength. Friends, I hope you guys enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all whenever the Lord brings me back, maybe tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Bye-bye.